Hello everyone. If you've been a viewer of the channel for quite some time now, you may recall back to last year when we changed the fog lights on the Fiat Panda 100 HP. And at the time, it wasn't exactly an easy process due to rusted out bolts and the little clips with like a little thread in them, which, yeah, that didn't make the job that easy. So what we're going to be doing in this particular video today is changing out the bolts for some brand new fresh ones, as well as the clips, and we're going to be talking a little bit about those. But also at the time I realised I didn't exactly show you how to adjust the fog lights. I showed you how to install them, but I didn't exactly show you how to adjust them. So although it's not going to be a generalised fog light adjustment on heights and government standards and things like that, DVLA standards even for fog light heights, it's just going to be a simple tutorial, as it were, on how to change, well, the height adjustment on your fog lights. So without further ado, let's crack on with that. So with the black fascia now removed, this is the sight you'll be greeted with. You've got 3 bolts, or bolt clips in at least, because I've already taken the bolts out. 3 of them up top. These 2 here just literally hold in the fascia. This one here serves a dual purpose, as that one holds in the fascia and it's the top mount for the actual bulb itself, well, unit itself. You've also got 2 down here which are just standalone on their own as such. So you've got 5 little bolts you need to remove in total to even get this out. This stage, I will say, is not just necessarily for the adjustment, because you don't actually need to take all this off to adjust your lights on a Fiat Panda 100 HP. But obviously, as I said, I'm already taking these off anyway to replace them because they're all going a bit old, crusty and corroded and all that stuff. Yeah, we don't need to take all this off just to adjust the lights. So this is the stage we're at, just to get these off. As you can see with this, these are all mostly alright. It was just the bolts themselves, but in the interests of renewing it and make it fresh, I'm just going to change them all out anyway, so I know I'm starting from scratch. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that. At this point you can see all of the clips in here have been changed, even the ones behind here as well, which you can't see because the lens unit's in the way, but take my word for it, they have actually been changed. What they've been changed out for is exact same sort of style. These ones here I believe are stainless steel and they came from eBay, and what these are, if I use another one I've got here for the other side, these are known as chimney U-clips because they got that sort of little chimney just sticking out the back there, and the idea is they just literally clip over the top, so nice little slot there, and they obviously open out to fit over. But it's a very simple little method, so if anyone's looking to get some of these for their own Fiat Panda or any other car within Fiat Chrysler group, these came from eBay and these are M4 size, so chimney U-clips M4 for anyone wondering. When taking the old ones off, because they're a little bit rusty, and obviously rusty metal and skin is not necessarily the best thing to combine, I would recommend wearing some gloves for it as well, which is why I've obviously got one on the one hand and not on the other, because you only need one hand to do that. But yeah, although it's not going to make any particular difference looks-wise, because you're not going to see it behind all the plastic coverings anyway, I think having stainless steel little U-clips in here should, at least should, prevent them rusting. But I'm also going to apply some grease to the bolts anyway, just for ease of extraction later on when inevitably I need to do something. Or a future owner needs to do something, depending on whether or not this car ever goes up for sale at all, if I ever decide to sell it one day. But not anytime soon, let's put it that way. Right, with all this sort of done, let us move on to the adjustment side of things. So with adjustment, you can see the camera angle hasn't changed because there's not really that much to sort of say with it really. I mean, if you have a look here, the lens unit is already sticking quite well forwards and actually pointed inwards a bit. I mean, I would imagine this is well, it's a sort of universal bumper. I mean, this bumper hit was only made for the 100 HP Panda, so there is only one way it can fit, and from what I can see, let me know in the comments below if you can, there's no adjustment for left or right angle, bearing in mind this is the original sort of fitting bracket, as it were, for the car. I mean, this is what came with the original lens units. I mean, I've only changed this little interior bit, and this was reused, so in that sense it should all be the same. But in terms of the height adjustment, there is a way of doing it, and I'll show you how that can be done. Apologies for any change in sound quality, but I've just had to change the camera out to my little DJI Osmo. So to adjust your lights, as I said already, there's no real left or right adjustment because it just sort of fits in as is. I mean, as I said, I'm sure somebody will tell me in the comments whether there is or not. I imagine it's just how tight you go with the little bulbs, well, bolts just in there. But there is adjustment for the height of it at least, and it's that little thing just here. And with that, you need to fit a little 6mm socket onto it. Now there is sort of two ways you can do it. If you've got this all open, as I have here, you can possibly just fit this back in and try and tighten it up by going obviously down there with a sort of little ratchet spanner like I've got this type just here, obviously on a shorter sort of end. But there is another way of doing it. So if we have a look underneath the camera, this is why I've changed to a different camera. You can see there is a little hole just there, and the idea of that is you get your little ratchet spanner just here with a 6mm socket on the end, put it up through there, get your minds out the gutter. You can put it up through there and, well, adjust the height of your light. So that is how that is done. Now we're looking to put all this back together really. So as I said already, you've got the 3 bolts up top, 2 at the bottom. So what we're going to do first is just put a little bit of grease using this particular grease on these ones. No brands intended to be shown as favourable over others. This is just the one that I've got. We're going to put 2 little bolts just in the bottom here. Those 2. These 2 here is where the plastic fascia attaches. This one just here though has a double purpose, because not only is it your top mount for the bracket, but it's also where one of the little bolts just goes in as well to attach the fascia to it. So that is a 2-in-1 deal essentially. So let's put some grease on the bolts and just put it all back together. So with these 2 little bolts now in, and obviously they're greased on the other side as well, so that will obviously work its way in. These bolts are both stainless steel as well, so hopefully I'm doing literally everything I possibly can to stop these rusting and creating issues in the future. But because Pogo is going to be attending shows in 2021, or at least is hopefully going to be attending shows in 2021, I've got these little red little capped bolts to fit in. So whilst you got all this off, and because fitting the fascia is obviously difficult to see everything that's going on, you just want to check that you got the space, and yes we do there, can't get it out, and there as well. As I already mentioned, these are all M4s, so if you're looking for sizes, that's what you want to get. But everything seems to be okay on that fitment front, so let's just fit the fascia back on, shall we? And there we go, that's all put in. I'll wipe away the excess grease that's just fallen on there, but it's not the easiest one to get in, that one, I will say, as you've probably just seen, but it's in, it's all tightened up. Looks like a job is done. So let's just quickly just check the light, just make sure it's all okay and survive the procedure. Yes, it has. The new bolts and clips are all in place on this particular fog light. The bolts have also all been greased, as we've already seen, so that way then, even though it says they're stainless steel, both bolts and the new clips, just for extra security and ease of removing later on, they've been greased up as well. So fingers crossed, if I ever need to do anything to them in the future, it shouldn't be that much of an issue, but we'll see how things go. But now this side is done, let's move on to the other side and replace those clips and those bolts. Hopefully nothing goes wrong with that, because this one's been a pretty easy fix so far, but yeah, we'll see how things go. So let's move on to the other side. I'm not going to show it on camera unless anything goes particularly wrong, because, well, it's the exact same process. If ever there was a reason to justify changing out the bolts, that is it. Because that little one there is incredibly rusty, and it's rusted onto the little clip just at the back, trying to get the light in as best as possible. So it's actually rusted onto that little bolt you can just see in the back there. So having to drill through about 5mm of quite reasonably thick cap is not the most fun I could ever wish. And the job, again, that's supposed to take about 10 minutes is now taking probably about 3-4 times longer because I'm having to drill through that one. Luckily the others have all come out fine, and this is on the driver's side, which has been the left hand side of this whole video. So yeah, if ever there was a reason to justify changing them out, it's that exact little bolt just there. Adjusting your fog lights on the Fiat Panda is as easy as that. On whatever model of Panda you own, whether it's the 100 HP, 4x4, just the standard Panda, you'll always have a hole in the underside of the bumper which you can get a little socket to go through. But also in this video we set out to change out the bolts and the U-clips on the inside of here just to hold this all in place and everything else like that. And I would say it has been an absolute mission success. It looks really good. Also, the red bolts, they really stand out and they'll look very good in the sunshine at a show. So I think with this video it's only going to be a short one, but we'll bring it to a close. So thank you very much for watching. Please remember to consider leaving a like, comment down below, and of course if you want to see more car-based content, feel free to subscribe as well. And until the very next video, I shall say farewell.